more fresh new inventory, and are buyers showing they even want it? Hey everyone, it is Alyson, your real estate strategist and realtor for the South Denver area. It is time for our October market update. Let's dive right into the numbers here in Q4. New listings for this month roll in at 4,700. It's actually up 300 from the month before. I find that pretty wild. This point in the year puts us up 7% from the previous month, yet year over year we are still down 2%. We saw 3,350 homes go under contract this month. That put us down 250 from the month before. That put us down 7% month over month, but up 2% year over year. 3,300 closings happened this month. That is unchanged from the month before, but year over year up 5%. Inventory stayed unchanged. We're still at about 3.7 months of inventory in the Denver market. Days on market, the average increased by 5, the median increased by 4. All right, let's look at those average home prices. The average closed price for all homes sold, $686,000. That is down $17,000 from the month before, down 2.5% month over month, but up 3% year over year. The single family home price average is coming in at $766,000 on average, down $22,000 from the previous month. That is down 3% month over month, but up 3% year over year. The condo and townhome average price is rolling in at a pretty even $450,000, but it is down $16,000 from the month before. And just like the other average prices, it is down 3% month over month, and it is down 4% year over year. All right, let's look over at those median home prices. The median closed price of all homes sold, $585,000, down $5,000 from the month before, so down about 1%, but year over year up 2.5%. The median price for single family dropped to $637,000, down $13,000 from the previous month. That puts it down 2% month over month, but still up 1% year over year. The median condo and townhome price is up $5,000 to $405,000, so it is not following the average. It puts it up about 1% from the previous month, and it's down by 3.5%, so it's not even a small amount. This condo and townhome market, I tell you, as you know, if you're watching these month over month, it is volatile. Every single month we're seeing something drastic in that market. And with so much inventory, it is just something interesting over there. List price to sales price ratio dropped a little bit more. We went from 95.3 to 95 as we continue our trajectory toward year end. All right, so what are your takeaways from all of this data and these numbers, right? So one of the first things that I see is that we are generally up year over year. I always do my year-end recap, but what I'm seeing is that we are consistently a little bit up year over year, which is positive. All of the media wants to say about how the market is crashing, Denver is crashing, it's falling apart. Everywhere that's not essentially the Northeast is doomed, but this data is showing differently. Now, month over month, we are moving downward, and I have continued to share how this is normal for our cycle of the market. We generally move up very quickly in the spring, and then anywhere from May through August, we're generally moving down. We've had some ups and downs in that stretch of this year, which is a little bit unusual, but we are following a pretty typical cycle. We aren't seeing runaway growth in our market. We're seeing stability, which is good, and a good baseline, a good undergirding to the next year and the year after that. Now, the next thing that I see is we had more new listings. That tells me that sellers are liking what they see in this current market and they don't want to wait to list. Seeing an increase in new listings as we head into the back half of the year, and in this case, the last quarter of the year, is pretty unusual. But instead, we see buyers hanging in there, buyers staying put. For the last several months, the Denver market has had about 12,000 listings available for sale. It's generally been 8,000 for condos, townhomes, attached homes, and about 4,000 for single family. Our most recent data, we've only shrunk those by about 500 in each category. So we're at about 7,500 condos and townhomes and about 35-ish hundred single family homes, maybe even 3,700. So we are barely putting a dent in our inventory as we move toward the end of the year. And that's not really from home sales as much as it is sellers who are pulling their property off the market and wanting to wait for spring, or just waiting for some time in the future where they're going to get more realized gain. But when I see sellers pushing property into the market as we go into the back quarter of the year, and we have the numbers to show that we have a pretty stable market, I start thinking, what is behind that? And I've got a couple different scenarios that have me thinking what is in the seller mindset. One, it could be they're not very confident in next year's market. I've shared here several times, I think 2026 is going to look very much like 2025. And for some neighborhoods, some communities, some styles of home, it's possible for them to see a higher selling price in the back quarter, not usually Christmas, but the back part of the year, more so than the front part of the year. And so if someone's timing is I need to be somewhere by February, they may be better off selling right now. Other than that, I also know that there are a lot of people who held back their dreams and plans since COVID. These are not folks who had to move, right? This is not job related. This is not family illness. This is not I outgrew my house. But they had a plan and they put it on hold because of the shock of where am I going to go? I could sell my house for a gobsmacking amount of money, but I then have to go overbid on the next one. And I just don't know what the stress is overwhelming. I can't imagine. I don't know. And they just hunkered down in what was known and safe and comfortable and probably largely paid down, paid off, and refinanced. Okay. Then we went into a correction. Rates went to 8 very quickly, and it seemed unfathomable to come out of what could have been a 2.5% or 3.5% refinanced rate to that. So nobody was then moving. Now we're in what is going to be probably for the long term a pretty normal market. Rates will move, they may come down a little, but if you're refinancing from 6.275 to 5.75, no big deal. Can be done, will be worth it. So we've loosened up the seller market and it feels hopeful and doable, and actually the buying piece feels so much easier. So we're also seeing sellers feel very comfortable with that. The other piece is folks who are distressed, whether it's job distress, divorce distress, whether we have homes that are just not kept up well enough that they can't command the price the seller needs. Homes that are being sold too quickly. I've talked about this in several of the last monthly market updates, where we have folks who purchased in 2022, maybe early 2023, and they're wanting to sell now, or maybe have a need to sell now, aren't willing or aren't able to rent it for a while, can't stay, and they aren't turning any kind of profit. And so we're seeing some tension there. That is a small segment of Colorado homeowners. 30+% of Colorado homeowners own their home outright. Another 25% of homeowners have rates that are 3 or below. And then we have that segment who is somewhere between 3 and 6. So we're only at 15, maybe 20% of the overall national market who has a rate at 6 or above, who are going to be working toward refinancing. But it doesn't matter. There are still a group of people in there, whether it's taxes, jobs, divorce, medical, whatever is going on, who are hit and cannot make it all work. So there is a segment that is under distress, along with the other pieces of hope and need and want and delay and timeliness and exhaustion from waiting. And so we're just seeing sellers push through in this market. Again, I don't think we're going to see a drastically different market in 2026. So far, we haven't seen rates come down at a pace people have been hoping for. And if they did come down quickly, let's just play out the hypothetical. Let's say we hit January 1 and something flipped, someone waved a magic wand, we had a Bruce Almighty moment and someone got everything they wanted and rates dropped to 5. I won't even go to 3. Let's just say 5. And buyers flooded the marketplace and started eating up inventory. Don't we all know what's going to happen? sellers are going to flood the marketplace. Buyers are going to see more choice, more buyers are going to come, and we're just going to have a market frenzy again. It will be nothing like the COVID era, but it's certainly going to be a hot, active market that's going to change the entire dynamic again. So there's just no reason to think we're going to see anything like that happen. Now, I have some closed price data from the last 2 months that I think supports the rationale for, how I'm diagnosing what the seller mindset may be. The exhaustion piece, the I want to move, the I've held my home back from the market and I really want to get what it's worth so I can go do my next thing. And any of those distressed pieces, whether the house is distressed, I'm putting a contract in on one now that is not looking so hot. But whatever that is, we're seeing it bear out in closed prices. And here's how. In the last 2 months for South Denver, what we have seen is that half of the homes roughly have sold for at least 5% below the original list price. There are almost 20%, 19 and change percent of those homes in the last 2 months have sold for more than 10% below list price. I broke it out in 5% increments. When I averaged what the off list price final sale was for that segment that was beyond 10%, it was actually 15% below list. So we're looking at almost 20% of homes selling at an average of 15% off of their original list price. Lest you think it's only a South Denver thing and go, oh my gosh, South Denver's crashing, or I can't wait to get a deal in South Denver. However you're looking at it, same data up in North Denver too. There were more homes that sold for a 5% or greater discount, and there was a bit larger segment who were that over 10% discount. So we are neck and neck. This is really a Denver-wide thing, but what it's telling us is sellers are either overpricing in general for any condition, or they're really overpricing for a home in distress. Now, sellers, lest you feel deflated, and buyers, lest you feel like you've got all the power, let me take you back to my very first comment in the takeaways. We're generally still up year over year for median prices and average prices. I look for the most part at single family home. It's mostly what I sell. It's often what my clientele want. I always share with you those attached homes, and they're fairly volatile. Right now, they are up on the average. So the good news is we're seeing a strengthening market, a good base underneath. We're definitely seeing overpriced listings get exposed. It's great for buyers, sellers. I know it can feel hard. It is a very emotional thing to sell your home. I'm going to be posting a video here soon about what buyers really say about your house. And we talk about how to make an emotional connection with buyers so they identify well with your home. Please tune in for that one. I think it will make a difference and help your home sell faster. Now let's move on to new builds. It's pretty easy for most buyers to connect with a new build. It is clean, it is fresh, it is easy button, it is white. They've seen a model. It's so simple to imagine yourself in a new build. It's easy to forget some of the extra costs, landscaping, fencing, window coverings, maybe a fridge or washer or dryer if the builder refused to throw it in. But the builders are making those monthly payments so attractive. I have a builder who is emailing me right now, left and right, from all of my personal contacts there. And they are like, hey, we have a 7-year ARM that's locked in at below 4%, and we are laying on a 2-1 buy down. So that means we have got rates below 2% for the first year, below 3% for the second year, and then your next 5 years are below 4%. And at some point in there, you can refi into whatever the lowest locked in rate is that you would like. They are clamoring for the buyers. Every builder is fighting the same fight, and they're doing it on a payment basis by pulling the incentives in. They want to leave their sales price pretty static because as the market rebounds, which will probably be 2027 to see some strength in the rebound, in my opinion, they don't want to have to do fast price increases. So if they keep them steady and do small increases or small decreases and just shove those incentives in, they can just take the incentives away. They can pull the lot premium up, take the lot premium out. So it's really easy for them to play with money behind the scenes, and that's what they're doing right now. If you're a seller in Castle Rock, Parker, parts of Littleton, these pockets of South Denver, an existing home is generally competing with a new build unless the buyer has 100% ruled out a new construction home, because there is so much available inventory with such great incentives available. It's very hard for an existing home to compete unless we have buyers who've said, no, I want the character, I want the mature trees, I want a bigger yard, because not every builder is offering anything of substance in the backyard with privacy. So you really have to know your strengths as an existing home seller, and you need to find lenders who will support you in giving something at no cost to you that can at least mimic, look like what the builders are doing to help offset costs to the buyer. They are out there. I've got them. If you're not working with me, make sure the agent you're working with is giving you something that helps you compete with the builders. Buyers, this part of the year, this last quarter, is your sweet spot for new home incentives. The lending incentives are great. The ability to get price cuts on top of that are great. The opportunity to get the window coverings, get the washer, get the dryer, get the fridge, possibly have the builder throw in something else on top of it. This is the off the charts time of year. Many of these builders have to deliver numbers to their stakeholders. They are constantly adjusting their numbers up and down. This is the time of year they're projecting into next year and making adjustments too. But they are committed to delivering, even if they slim down profit margins. So take your opportunity. Let me help you if you want to know where to go, who's giving you the best deal, how you can negotiate and navigate that, which house is going to give you the best ROI several years from now. We can at least do some calculations on that. And you really need to know, if no one has told you yet, that when you're baking those incentives into your list price, which you really are, or your purchase price, you cannot be turning around and selling your house in 2 years and expect to get it all back. That's part of the challenge we're seeing in this current market. People were getting their payment down, but their principal, their purchase price is still high. And we see this across all the new builders. They want to maintain prices for themselves, somewhat for their previous buyers. And what happens is you end up with a bit of a false market, a false floor. And so if you try to go resell in a very quick period of time, having baked in all these incentives, they don't have any value to the next buyer. The next buyer can't pick up your mortgage. They can't pick up your low rate. And so you're actually left holding the bag and can't get that out of your house. So we have to talk through your purchase sale cycle and what your vision is to make sure you're getting the best thing, not just for today, but for a few years. We have got a few more months to go before we get to the year-end wrap-up and compare what the actual year-over-year growth is for the whole market. But the good news is we are seeing that this market has not fallen apart. We are seeing some steady growth, a good baseline, a nice point at which to enter 2026. I anticipate we'll have a very similar year to this year. There will be a few months of nice, strong spring selling season. And if rates do come down a little more, it will be more extended than we've had here in 2025. Sellers, no matter when you're putting your home on the market, price with some wisdom, and right now, maybe with a little humility. And buyers, act with intention. Definitely act with some integrity and some character. Do not be pulling homes fully off the market you do not intend to purchase, and don't be greedy. It's a time to get a good deal, but we are seeing sellers flat out reject offers because they are lowball and greedy and not appropriate to the market. If you really want the house, make an offer that is realistic. I would love to hear your plans for Denver. Please reach out. I would love to get strategic with you and see how we can make your goals happen. And I will see y'all next week.